You're about to witness a seismic event.
Hey, you're listening to Skitball, huh?
It's Bags.
Skitbags.
Radio.
Hello out there in the universe. Welcome to Skitbags Radio. What's up, everybody?
Hey. Yeah.
Yo, this is Sailor Dev in the house. Represented, I'm joined, as always, by my co-hosts across from me. What up, Carl?
What it do, my man? My man, Mr. C the Enforcer. Bobby Carlo, bad boy in the place. What up, what up?
And you know me, Life Neil the Great. Cheer.
Don't you usually do that first? We are just all kinds of thrown off today.
Well, you kind of fucked it up. You kind of introduce him first. Usually I do the cheer in between.
Yeah, that's right. Well, normally we're, by the way, they can see us now. So, now you can see the setup. The first episodes, we didn't have a camera. So all they were doing is listening to the audio. But yeah.
I'm all out of the backseat of the Corolla.
Yeah. We got Gabby, the wonderful, lovely Gabby over there on the sticks, DJing our camera, the wonderful Mevo. Shout out to Mevo. And our lovely, esteemed guests in the house. Why don't you go say hi, ladies, and introduce yourself so they know who's talking.
I want to do a fun intro because you guys have
it,
but
yeah.
I don't have that much fun. I'm just over here like, I'm Eliyannah Yisrael from the south side of Chicago.
Why not?
And I'm Alice Pearce, originally from Houston, Texas, and now I live right here in LA. It's not exciting.
There you go. That's very exciting.
Coming soon.
And what? Tell everyone out there, not a synopsis, but what brought you guys here? Why are we having you on? What show are you guys responsible for creating?
We are here because we work on the Hermione, Granger, and the Quarter Life Crisis web series, the most amazing web series on the internet in the history of time. I created the show.
It's not a bad description.
That's the most accurate description I can come up with. just trying.
We're just trying to be real.
Just trying to keep it humble. So that show, I created the show, I directed the show. I actually met Alice at a Harry Potter convention right after I started filming the show, and now she's one of my producers on the show. She's amazing. And so that's why we're here to talk to y'all about all those things, all the cool things that we do.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us here.
Before we get into the interview and picking your brains about how this whole process worked, we start every episode with a breakdown of a movie or TV show, as you guys know out there in the universe. But before we get into the breakdown, I do have to address why my voice sounds like this to everyone out there in the world. So we are recording this the day after St. Patrick's Day, and that's why my voice sounds like this. So there's a short and sweet answer.
A leprechaun came up to him and just kicked him in the balls.
What? That would push my voice up. That would make my voice higher.
Maybe in the throat.
Yeah, something like that.
It was all the blackout dick sucking.
There you go.
Too many blackout dicks. It's just I reached my dick blackout limit at about 12:30 last night.
And
your throat has not recovered.
Yeah, it just hasn't been enough time. We've only been 12 hours, guys. Anyway, so what are we breaking down today, guys? What do we decide on? Anyone want to chime in? Don't everyone speak at once.
I think we decided on Black Panther, didn't we?
Yeah,
Black Panther.
Bliggity Black Panther.
So, who wants to kick this train off? I'm not going to let it be Carl first because I already know he's got a fire smoldering within him.
Yes.
Don't start,
That's what I can't wait for.
Got some kind of grudge against Black Panther.
But I saw it again actually this past week.
Okay.
So I saw it for the second time. The first time I saw it, I was so excited. I was super, super high and had 2 cocktails at me. I was just enjoying it for what it was.
Yeah.
And then I saw it again normal. And then I was thinking about it from the industry perspective.
Yeah.
You know? So as far as Marvel movies go, in my opinion, one of the best. I've been a fan of Black Panther since the comic book series. That was the first comic book I ever bought at a convention, at a Tampa comic book convention 6 years ago. I was walking through there and it was a 1976 Black Panther issue, and there was 2 of them. I got 2 of them. at that convention. And when I opened it up and started reading, it was T'Challa first going from Wakanda to New York for the first time. In the comic series, his dad had already passed away, so he was king, and it was very 70s style. So throughout the whole comic book episode, he's in Brooklyn and he's fighting the Klan.
Oh,
like
okay.
the Ku Klux Klan, like a bunch of white guys in fucking white pointy hoods, and Black Panther's literally like bam, doing like punches and like all that straight up 70s style comic book,
like poof, pow.
Yeah, like all.
Like Batman.
Yeah, exactly. All that
like
cheesy
bot.
stuff. But it was hilarious dialogue. Like T'Challa in there was like a straight up African warlord style. And he's like, they have like dinner at this family who's in Brooklyn who's hosting him. And like he has dinner with this like Brooklyn family. And he's straight up like Wakandan and like doesn't know cultures. So like the whole thing is like, yo, pass me that egg roll. And he's like, I do not pass, I am the king. Or something, shit like that. And it was hilarious. I loved it. I was like, this is great. And then he just runs around and beats up racists. It was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. But yeah, the movie I thought was amazing. I don't know, story-wise, it was great. What I viewed from it after watching it the second time and being sober is, and this has a lot to do with Disney and them owning it in-house, and I get why they did it for money reasons.
Okay.
I compared it to, it was a Marvel version of Lion King. Scar, the family, the betrayal, coming back. It's all about royalty and the family. It's all about the dispute over the throne. Somebody backstabbed and similarities, not exactly parallels, but my brain saw those similarities.
Right? Would that
in the
make
story.
Killmonger Simba?
No, Killmonger, he would
Scar.
technically be Scar, but I know that doesn't work because Scar's the uncle.
Yeah.
So that's why I said similarities, not exact parallels.
Sure.
Not verbatim. But the concept of a storytelling being like, oh, we want to have a family dispute over the throne.
Right.
We want to have some kind of sabotage and some kind of conflict of upheaval, and now a fallen hero has to rise again and overcome the challenge and save the day.
After hanging out with like Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, word. So who are Timon and Pumbaa in Black Panther?
I'm
Her general,
That
the
white
general
guy.
girl and the white
Sheen.
guy?
Well, what's his name? Sheen? No,
The CIA agent?
the guy from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Martin.
Martin Sheen. No,
No.
right? It's not Martin.
No.
Isn't that Martin Sheen?
No.
What is-
Freeman, maybe?
Martin Freeman.
Martin
That
Freeman.
sounds,
Yeah.
that sounds better.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah. So he's like Timon. I don't know who
Is
Pumbaa
he
is.
Timon?
No?
To be honest, I don't know which one is Timon and which one is
No,
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa.
Pumbaa's the warlord.
Pumbaa.
Simba's the warthog and Timon is the meerkat.
I just know Timon and Pumbaa as a duo. I don't know them as individuals.
Maybe we should start with a recap of Lion King.
By the way, out there, if you're listening to this, all you millennials, there's this great movie that's animated called The Lion King.
You're gonna know it's
Came out in the
Donald
90s.
Glover and Beyonce will be in the remake.
Right? Yo.
shit. Hold on. What's happening? There's a remake?
Yeah, pause, because that was a great point, and I wanted to, before we get back on to Black Panther, I gotta say
Okay.
this. I love Donald Glover. He's one of my favorite human beings. I have the tattoo that says sometimes I'm childish right on my
No, you
chest.
don't.
So he's one of
You
my
do.
inspirations when he started Derek Comedy for me to start my film company in Florida and all this
Wow.
stuff. Anyways, so he's playing Simba in the remake
The
for The
live
Lion
action
King.
remake.
He's playing Simba.
They're doing
Yeah,
a live,
the live action
action
remake.
Live action.
Yeah.
You haven't heard about this.
No, but how is it gonna be live action? He's a human.
I think it's gonna kind of be the Jungle Book.
Like the CGI kind of thing, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got it. So it's his voice.
I mean, I assume,
yeah.
or maybe it's just
Well,
going to be
there's-
straight
We
up
don't
them
know.
filming it like a Broadway.
Yeah, this is just
with
them
those
all on all
moving
fours,
masks
like-
and
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
whatever it is, the other
They
day,
keep calling it a live action
Like, I'm
remake,
confused.
and I'm very confused because they call it the live action remake, and I'm like, but it's all animals.
well, he
Right.
Like there's
So-
no
It's not
human
even like
counterpart.
Jungle Book where there's like a person that they're
So
filming and
I
then
don't
CGI
know.
animals.
I can't wait to find out.
it
Oh,
could
they're
just
gonna
be
have Donald
like
Glover with all the balls on him.
the
It's
same
like-
thing, same story, just applied to humans in a tribe. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
It's like it's still
So like Black Panther.
kind of yeah.
So
That's what I
you're
was
taking
thinking.
an interpretation of Hamlet in the Lions and then making it back about humans. So it's just Hamlet.
Kind of. I don't know what they're gonna do. That's not my point. Hold on. I want to finish this
okay.
thought process
Yeah,
before I
yeah.
forget.
Here we go,
Because
here
the
we go.
Donald Glover thing, and the other day I was listening to like a playlist of his or Pandora or something. Or Dash. I was listening to Dash. Fuck Pandora.
Dash.
Sorry. I wasn't listening to Pandora. I don't know why I said that. Fuck them. But anyways, gotta represent team, yo. Team Dash.
Squad up.
Anyways,
Squad up.
Squad up.
anyways, one of his old original first or second album rap songs came on from Gambino, from Childish Gambino, and in the song, Childish Gambino is his rap. Okay, all right. You looked at me like I didn't know who that was.
No. I was just like, wow, a song from the second album came on.
It was like off a cul-de-sac or something. Yeah. So back into talking about Don Glover, he did this line about the Lion King, about him being Simba in his rap, and then now he's playing Simba in the live action. So that's why I was like, when you said that, I was like, holy shit, by the way, realize this shit. He just talked about manifest your fucking reality.
Wow.
Right there.
Yeah, he
Speak it
meant
into
that.
existence.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Abracadabra, was it speak? I create what I speak. Is it what abracadabra means in Hebrew?
I
Really?
did not know
I
that.
know that.
Abracadabra, I think, fact check me out there, internet trolls.
I know that
But,
statement was so heavy.
Yeah, abracadabra is I create what I speak.
I hope that's true because I like that.
I do.
Sounds like a tattoo right there.
That's what that means?
I'm pretty sure.
I create what I speak. Oh, that's fucking lit.
Yeah. I might just fit it into the end of my phrases and be like, yo, let's kick it tonight, abracadabra.
So that's pretty funny.
Yo, I'm doing this shit, dude. Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
I'm doing this. Abracadabra. Hashtag abracadabra.
I'm gonna put it in my
Let's
email
try it.
signature.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Living my best life, abracadabra.
Oh,
Well, there you go. Thank you, guys.
right,
Will
thank
be
you.
That
created
works
in
better.
my words.
That works better.
yes, abracadabra.
Close enough.
So back to Black Panther.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah, we
Ladies,
gotta-
what are your thoughts on Black Panther? I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of the film?
I have also seen it twice, and I was not drunk both times. I actually quite. The funny thing is, the first time I saw it, I was like, yes, and I kind of was like, I think I might, slightly be maybe 50% Team Killmonger, not completely because he's choking people out, but he got a lot of good points. I was like, I don't know.
He
He
It's
has a lot of
real
good
tough.
points. It was like, yeah,
I'm like, you can't
Very
choke the
sexy as
elders,
hell.
but also he not lying. I was like, I was like, and then the second time, I think I appreciated more that had we just listened to Nakia in the beginning, because she also was making those same points. She just wasn't as and I was like, you know what? And also too, I'm not a big comic book person. I've never read a comic book. I'm pretty sure that's the first Marvel movie I've seen. Although I did recently find out that Spider-Man is Marvel, so I did watch the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield ones.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple, but I'm not the big Marvel MCU whatever. So I can't really speak to it in that regard. But just as an action movie, I mean, it was certainly one of the best ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was just fun.
Oh yeah, intensely good.
It was just so fun, but also crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy.
What a wild movie. A lot of
Thought
things
the-
I was not expecting.
Yeah. Well, the script was really tight and had a lot of twists, and they treated characters in a pretty unique way for an action comic book movie.
Yo.
Especially Killmonger.
Yo.
He's not your typical villain. He doesn't get your typical villain's ending.
Oof.
Yeah.
So.
But when he was in a museum and he said, "How you think your ancestors got all those?" I was like, "Oh, that's the movie that we're doing." Okay, got it.
I
They were not
liked
pulling
it.
their punches.
I was not ready to see that in a movie theater.
They're pushing the bounds with Ragnarok and it's comedy now, and then Black Panther with those kind of statements. It's like I feel like Black Panther is Marvel's version of Rogue One. Rogue One to the Star Wars franchise was like Black Panther to Marvel. More gritty, great story, told a whole different untold chapter that was
Right.
completely independent of anything else going on. No other characters from the MCU were in the Black
that was
Panther
the other thing I
movies.
know,
It's
because
all
again, I haven't
Wakanda.
seen. So I did just see the trailer for Infinity War, and that one it's 86,000
Fucking everybody.
people,
Yeah.
right? So are the other movies different in the sense that they include a lot of the other characters, whereas this one was it's in Wakanda, wasn't no other.
Well, actually, they kind of really just started doing that with the let me think. What film was it?
The Civil War, really.
Civil War. Civil
Okay.
War was the most
But I mean,
recent movie
Thor
I've seen.
and them too.
Yeah, but like,
They always come across somebody. It's usually they come across
yeah,
like
exactly.
one person.
They always come
Like
across
a
like
guest
one or two
appearance.
people, one or two
Okay.
people like along. But it really didn't really start until like those Avenger movies started actually.
Then
coming
they
out. Like, when
started kind of
that's
having
when they
like
started
drop this
crossing out.
people in.
And the only time they would have crossed paths would be at the end after the credits, where Tony Stark would come in the room and be like, "Yo, I got this
Which
team."
they did. They had that other dude who I didn't know who he was, and I'm
Right.
still not quite clear, but I know he's like somebody. Bucky.
Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
he's one of the.
Yeah.
If you watch Civil War,
Okay.
with Captain America and like Iron Man, they're fighting and whatnot. At
Oh,
the
I didn't
end,
know Captain America and Iron Man get into a fight.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, they made a whole movie about it.
It's a pretty good movie.
I thought they were all on the same side.
No,
Oh
that's
yeah, at one point, but then they had beef.
Oh, that's-
real beef.
But
like
now they're
Tupac,
back
Biggie
because
shit.
in this new
Yeah.
trailer, they're back on the same.
Well, actually, they haven't really shown that. All they do is just hear like epic lines like, "Come here, you know what's right." So we don't know. Yeah,
Right.
they want to save that for the big screen. But
Well, you know what? I think,
The ending scene of Black Panther, if you waited until the
yeah, when the dude came out of the hut.
yeah.
Right, that's Bucky.
And yeah, at the end of Civil
the
War.
Winter
'cause,
Soldier,
well,
yeah.
that's like the source of their beef in Civil War. So
No,
Iron Man.
and Captain America.
Yeah, Iron Man wants that dude to be like in jail for all his war crimes, whereas Captain America is all like, "Yo, I understand he got brainwashed and whatnot. Like he's he's actually my homie from back in the day. You know,
see,
like
he's
in the
trying to make
50s.
exceptions for the homies.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So he drops him off in Wakanda. You know, at the end of Civil War.
No, he didn't.
That's how they start off.
So,
like
so that's why she was like, "Oh, another broken white boy."
Yep, that's exactly where that line came from.
Right. 'Cause she was like, so y'all just gonna keep bringing me all these.
Yeah. So that's how they kind of like led us into like knowing about Black Panther, and then we see.
Was that the last movie before Black Panther? No, Thor.
So the
Thor
first-
Ragnarok,
the first
which I
movie-
have. I'm gonna go see that Tuesday.
That's really
You'll
good.
like
actually,
that one. It's a
I've heard
comedy.
good things about
It's real
that
fun.
one. Very
I'm gonna be right.
excited.
I'm gonna be right honest.
Yo.
I like that better than Black Panther.
Really?
Yeah.
Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Go for it. Ooh, hold on.
Black Twitter on fire right now.
Yo, I'll go into like Black Panther right now. Like I think it was.
Yeah, let's get this fire burning.
Yeah,
I want to
burn
hear
the
this.
fire.
Yo, I
Unleash
think-
the fury.
I think it was good. But at the same time, I felt like I was watching it as if I was watching a movie that like my friends were in. Like, how am I not gonna like it? It's fucking black. Like I felt as though my perspective of the film was skewed. It's every like I've been waiting for this movie for like a year.
Yeah.
It's a dope. It's the first like black male like black superhero period. It's Marvel, so it's legit. It's happening on the mainstream. Like it's not. Ain't some straight to Redbox shit.
Right.
Everyone knows about it.
Right.
So it's like it felt like I was already like, in a way, like brainwashed to like the film, which I didn't have a problem with. I wanted to like it, So maybe I could see it again. But first of all, I'm just going in there like I'm going like to a Lakers game and I'm a Lakers fan. Like I'm going in there, like no matter what this movie's gonna do, it's not really gonna do wrong for me. So that's my mindset going in. I go and see the film and I think it was great. It was a good movie, but I say that in a way in terms of like they didn't fuck it up.
So it's like the Barack Obama films.
I mean, I think you could argue that the Barack was not a. He didn't knock it out the park.
But
he
he didn't
didn't.
fuck it up.
Yeah.
He didn't fuck it up.
So-
It's just like,
So I have to
That's so
see it
funny.
again, but those were my feelings after I saw Black Panther. In my mind, like they didn't fuck it up. That's how I felt. If you think about it, like I can tell you right now, like we watch a whole bunch of like Marvel movies and whatnot. I can't remember like a standalone scene from that movie that was like an awesome action sequence. Like
You know what I was gonna say? Because my
Think about-
roommate is a huge Marvel, like massive, to the point that he hasn't even seen Wonder Woman. Like, and I didn't know that Wonder Woman was a.
he
different.
just got beef with like DC.
He
Like
just is like, I don't watch DC movies.
God.
And that was my first time finding out that there's, that exists.
Well, like-
that's a thing. He was just like, oh, I know I'm not. So anyway, he watched it, and again, he's like Mr. Marvel. And his thing was, and I guess I can see it, like, you see most action movies, and it's almost like the world is, like, the stakes are so high, the world is ending, New York is blowing up. And this one, he was like, oh, it was nice. Like, it was really good in the ways that it was good, but the stakes never felt like high, like that high
Right,
for
but
him.
you need that because it was an individual character film. Their conflicts are supposed to be smaller because that's the whole point of the
for
Avengers
sure.
as a team.
Yeah, you're
so
right.
if the stakes are so high in an individual character movie that it's the same as an Avengers movie, it's like Yeah, but Black Panther handled that on his own last time.
Yeah.
Why does he need a whole team now?
You know what? In terms of like the stakes, I felt as though they were okay because they were affecting that world of like Wakanda. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was, yeah. So
And,
that was
if
big enough.
if the ships had gotten out, obviously at that point,
Exactly.
the, stakes
The
would have been
Avengers would've shown
massive.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the next thing, you know? But my issue was just that, like, you know, usually whenever I watch like a Spider-Man, like for instance, like with the Spider-Man movie, you know, the first image that comes to your mind, the one that recently came out with Homecoming, that was pretty good too. You haven't seen that one with
haven't seen
Spider-Man and
that.
Iron
It's
Man?
good. I
It's
wanna
pretty
s-
good.
yeah.
But the iconic scene you come up with is like Spider-Man with the webs. I'm like trying to pull like the ship together. You know what I mean? Like in Black Panther, there was none of that. Like the only moment I can remember is from the trailer of him like jumping off of the car and the car in the background like flipping. You know what I mean? And then he jumps on top of the other car. Like that's like the most iconic part, and that was like in the trailer. You know, so and so that's one thing of the film that I was like, all right, it's okay. To me, I thought it was an okay film.
See, I'm going to disagree with you on 2 points.
Yeah, I feel like it
I
was
think there were
some
iconic action
iconic
sequences.
moments.
They just weren't T'Challa's. Right?
Okay, there you go.
Like let's remember that scene where she comes flying over and shoves a spear through a car into the pavement.
Yeah, that's true.
Who stabs a car?
Yeah,
Okay?
come
First
on.
of all, have we ever seen that before? No.
Come on.
And it's epic, it's iconic, and it's insanely memorable. It just
Yeah.
wasn't T'Challa.
Even
Okay,
the casino
there we go.
fight, the casino fight.
Casino- yeah,
and
that was
again, of course, yeah,
epic.
it's still the same person.
Right, exactly. Because she is like the badass warrior in that film, even though it's not her film.
Yeah, there
He's
you
not
go.
the name on the.
Also, wait a second. I'm sorry. The Killmonger and T'Challa fight for the throne wasn't iconic for you? Is this your king?
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole moment. That's a cultural
Yeah, but
moment.
When you're like throwing somebody off of a fucking waterfall,
Yeah.
because at the whole time during that fight, you're like, all right, he'll get back up.
But at the
Yeah,
same
you're like, oh,
and he's like,
damn.
oh no, he's going off the
at
cliff.
But
And you're like, oh.
hold on, but at the same time, I wouldn't have to. I don't need to watch a Marvel movie to see that scene. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, all right, makes sense.
Like to me, like that could happen in any movie. You know,
Okay.
like for me, like you,
Okay.
like I like in superhero movies, dude punches him, he goes across the room and then breaks a crack in the wall. You know what I mean? It's like shit like that. And I'm not trying to take away from that scene. That was great. I'm just talking about like.
That's
for
a good
instance,
point,
I
though.
guess
You didn't have to go
For
to
me, what I love about comics and like the breadth of the MCU now is that we can have comic book superhero movies that feel really grounded in humanity, right? Like you can have the
Yeah.
whole spectrum. You can have the huge epic Avengers fight that, you know, an entire city floats into the air, okay? Or you can have two regular ass buff warrior dudes fighting on the top of a waterfall for, you know, a single kingdom.
Yeah.
And we have the ability to have that whole range of quality, high budget, like huge
Yeah.
budget
Yeah.
films and get to see that executed insanely well. Like I think Marvel right now is moving away from just this is a superhero film to this is a superhero universe, but this is the ragtag, you know, smuggler comedy, and this is like, you know, the royalty family drama.
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
Black Panther,
That's definitely
right?
what they're doing.
That's
Yeah.
really dope.
Right? Like there's a huge variety of genres now that Marvel is making within the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And each one kind of has its own thing.
You just
So-
pitched me on these MCU movies.
So you have to watch them
There's
all.
been
Okay, but
several
skip the
people
whole first,
that
like,
have been like, you
round.
gotta. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'll always maybe watch like one or two more, but I'm good.
Yeah, honestly.
But now I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but honestly, Skip, aside from the original Iron Man, I think skip the whole.
Well, I'll tell
I
you
heard
this
that
right
I
now.
gotta watch
round.
one of the like two Captain America movies.
Yes,
My
but skip the
fa-
first one.
My
Okay.
favorite to right now, my favorite Marvel movie is what's the homie? Oh yeah, Doctor Strange. That's my favorite
I
Marvel
didn't see
movie.
that.
Doctor
Really?
Strange was dope.
Yes, it is.
What?
That's the best one.
I
I'm sorry.
Really?
I loved it because there's a lot of like references to mysticism and occult knowledge and like alchemy and things
So
like
it's
that.
still kind of like
So it's
Alice said, creating its own.
Oh yeah, it's its own like fantasy magic,
it's magic based. That's a
just
good
within
thing.
the MCU.
And like,
That's why I like it, is because of his character specifically, I think. But as a
And-
film standalone, I'd weigh Ragnarok and Black Panther up against them.
but I think
And Civil
I
War.
like, but to me, Doctor Strange was just from the way it was told, it was pretty original. Like the way that he's the whole out of body experiences, like he's like fighting, like you know,
Doing astral
his-
projection?
Yeah, he's
Whoa.
opened doors. He's like in a different like part of the fucking world. You know, like
So these are two things that Marvel's touched on: the astral projection thing in Doctor Strange, and then now in Black Panther, the little Avatar kind of tribute with eating that drink or drinking like a mushroom hallucinogen thing to go to the astral plane to go see his ancestors. So they're definitely toying with the idea and putting it out in public of like psychedelic substances, putting it in there in movies as people use them for tools. But I love that aspect of the movie because like I had an astral projection experience, and then like 2 years later, Doctor Strange came out, and I'm like, they're talking about what happened. I'm not crazy. And then I was like, this is a comic movie, Devin.
No,
This is not a documentary.
Yeah.
and one of the things I liked about Doctor Strange was that at the end, and every like action movie or superhero movie, like at the last scene, the last stanza, they're coming out
Right.
to fight the bad guy, right? Like to stop the shit from happening.
Right.
And Doctor Strange, when they show up, it's already happened. It's over. Like the city's already toppled. Like the aliens are already in. Like it's over. It's like shit, we're late. But Doctor Strange has the power to like turn time backwards. Right, so for the last scene of the film, he's turning time backwards, so things are going in reverse. While him and the homie are like in real time, like beating up the dudes, while like the buildings are like coming back together. While like so that was like a cool spin on like an ending of an action movie.
Okay.
You know, so I took that into consideration. But yeah, like I think Black Panther was great, but to me it didn't feel like it didn't separate itself from other Marvel movies. If you ask me, the only movie, if it's a Marvel movie, you wouldn't consider it. The one that separates it from the crowd is Deadpool. You know, like that's the one that's like way different than the other ones. If that's what you want to talk.
Oh yes.
You know, but
Well, Deadpool and the X-Men are kind of like in a different universe within the MCU, but they're supposed to be like.
not
Like
anymore.
they don't interact with
Not anymore. They
in
just
the
got bought
comic
out.
book universe. They cross the lines all the time, but in the MC, like as of now, what they've structured it is like you don't see X-Men in Civil War.
But they just Disney,
They're not going to be in Avengers.
Yes.
Or, I mean, not in Infinity War.
not in the next movie. But that just happened recently. They bought the rights to Disney and Fox, so now Deadpool is not part of an X-Men.
Oh yeah, no,
are
I
not
knew
part
that.
of that
yeah,
world now.
yeah, but
So,
I'm talking
and now-
like I don't
Oh,
know.
is
if
that
they'll
why they didn't
blend
cross
those
before?
lives.
Because Fox
Yeah,
owned
exactly. And
X-Men
and the comic
Deadpool.
books they link up and whatnot, but in our movies they haven't.
But
because
now
of-
that Disney owns Fox, now
And
they
that's
are
also
free
why
to-
you didn't realize that Spider-Man was a Marvel character, because it was owned by Sony
Yeah.
for so long. So
That's where
it
that was
couldn't be
good old-
part of the universe. He couldn't be an Avenger, even though he is an Avenger.
and now
okay.
it's coming together.
Oh, okay.
Because Disney is
So wait,
a monopoly taking over the world.
Okay, I got it. No, I got it. It just all came together.
Hold on,
I'm there.
Carl. Can I please get the whole
Yeah.
spin and mention the thing about you tell me about Wrinkle in Time? Like I want you to. Put
By
that
the
all-
way, the
put that all
fight on the
together.
train, that was very distinctive to Black Panther. The two Black Panther kings.
Yeah.
Okay. Ugh.
Yeah, you know.
Yikes.
You're trying to convince us.
Yeah, he's like not having it.
No, I'm gonna be
It's like
honest.
moving a stubborn mule uphill.
I just want to be real. I honestly have to see it again. You know, because like I said, the first time I saw it, it was like Game 7 of like the NBA game. Like I'm
But
just
you know
hyped
what?
to
No,
watch.
I will say because the first time I saw it at Baldwin Hills, and then the second time I saw it, I saw it at the Regal downtown.
I think you should give our listeners some context as to what you mean by that.
So, touche. My first time seeing it was the Thursday night it came out in a very black theater in a very black neighborhood, and it was lit. It was literally one of the littest nights I've had in my life. And that's LA, because I don't expect LA to give me a whole lot. Like I know if I was at home, if I was in New York, it would have been like just nasty. But it was still like lit, and I was like, wow, okay. Then the second time I saw it downtown, which was a much more mixed environment, like and it was a quiet theater. It was a very quiet screening, and I was like, okay, so it's a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
We all are receiving this in our own ways. And I was like, okay, got it. So there wasn't as much. They weren't as moved and as excited about things as we had been.
Did that change? That changed it for you? Did you
I mean,
feel
first
different?
of all, no, I was just like, wow, they're all crazy. All
'Cause
these I was still like, ha ha ha. Like I was kind of, but I was like on an island by myself.
Yeah.
No, I feel you.
You
No,
know.
when I saw it at the one on Santa Monica, the Westfield. What's that place called? Like AMC on Santa Monica Boulevard, all the way down by like the 405.
By the promenade?
No, it's in like Century City. Yeah, sorry,
Century City.
Okay.
It was like an all white audience, and
Yeah.
they loved it. Like,
Oh, yeah, I mean, I saw it with an
I never
all-white
would like I wouldn't have known until I looked back to be like, oh, this is an all white crowd.
Yeah,
You
I don't know
like-
what was going on with my show. It literally was like crickets, and I was like, damn, okay, so it doesn't have the impact that I thought it did. I was like, it doesn't travel. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, this movie don't travel.
No, it does. But I think what happened is when you saw it the second time, you saw with like the people who don't get excited. Like, because
I
they
must
waited
have.
to go see it. They
But
waited
it was
days.
that Sunday.
I
That's
went-
true. That's
It's
true.
a Sunday.
I went to
Like,
see Get Out at
Ooh.
Baldwin Hills.
Ooh.
Yo, at the last scene, everyone was like standing. Like,
You know what? That's one of my biggest life
when it's the
regrets
homie-
that
when
I
it-
never saw it
Oh.
on the right side of town.
when the homie comes through, you think it's like the cop, but then it's the friend. Everyone's like, everyone's like high fiving each other, like, yeah, I knew it. Like there was like one of the I've never seen people so hyped. The last time I seen people hype for ending was 8 Mile, and 8 Mile people went crazy too. They were like, the freestyle. Oh my god! I remember the ending of freestyle. The ending of 8 Mile for the last like 15-20 minutes. The crowd was like on his feet. We're just like,
crazy.
And you know,
it felt live as shit.
with 8 Mile, that's cool. That one scene, the
One of the
freestyle
best endings ever to a movie.
Right, but what's funny about it is because the movie does such a good job of making you put yourself in that situation of being like, oh shit, there's this freestyle rap battle, but everyone forgets that like this is a movie. The shit has been written. This is not a freestyle.
This is not a freestyle.
It's just great rap. It's right.
We gotta get Carl's opinion on Black
yeah,
Panther
get
and tie it in with the Wrinkle in Time shit. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Do it.
All right, so Black Panther. See, I'm still, as mentioned, I'm waiting until it comes out on the DVD to see it.
Guys.
But I've been listening to all the reviews and everything, and the things that I like about it, I actually like the whole T'Challa and Killmonger situation because it was your Malcolm X, Martin Luther King situation, or your African American versus imported African kind of logic battle that was in between them. And I did hear a lot of people say that they felt like the action scenes were recycled and things like that. But it was, from what I understand, people told me they were crying when they came out of it. So
It was emotional.
If somebody tells me they're crying when they came out of it, it's clearly a good goddamn movie. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But my thing was, because I'm a social experiment guy, political guy, and I see a lot of excitement, especially in the African American community, about the film. Oh no, dude, you gotta see it, because African American, woo, because of the actors and the director, and whoop de whoop, bum. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I feel you, it's real hype. And then Wrinkle in Time came out like 2 weeks later, right? Black female director. Black girl as the lead actress. Oprah Winfrey up in the joint.
Yeah.
Ain't none of these niggas want to see it.
None
They
of
don't.
them.
Nobody want to see it.
Literally none of them.
And then I'm like, yo, why don't you go see it? They're like, yo, well, look at the ratings. The ratings say it's bad. I said, well, nobody ever saw Black Panther before you went to see it on opening night.
Yeah.
So are you really going to see it for the black actors now? And then old girl got another movie coming out that she's called like the something else, like this black female director got another movie coming out like next summer where she's going to do an action film like Black Panther type joint with all these new superheroes. Let's see if Wakanda's in the theater. That's all I'm talking about. That's why I'm seeing it on DVD, because y'all too hype about it and y'all not following up when the next stuff come out 2
Good
weeks
for
later.
you. Good for you.
2 weeks later. But I'm going to go see Wrinkle in Time just to spite y'all.
Yeah. You know what? Good for you.
Boom.
And let me tell you who also
Boom.
saw Wrinkle in Time on opening weekend.
That's right.
This one right here.
There you go. That's right. Represent.
Yeah,
That's
I will
right.
say you're right about that, and we all know the one thing that we do poorly, and I don't know whoever's listening where y'all listening from, but specifically within the African American community, we good to show up for the men, but not so much for the women. We definitely do not support our women. But it's cool.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
Is
all right.
it?
That's all right. Hey,
Of course not.
It's time's up. Me too. It's all right.
But I got my pride.
That's right. That's all right.
But no, we don't. We absolutely don't. And it was dismal to see, how. But at the same time, it still was the number 2 movie that weekend, and that's also special. Like
that's good.
this was the very first time that you had a number 1 and number 2 movie at the box office with black directors.
Well, that's good.
And that was like,
That's good.
remarkable. But no, those pre-sales, it's just like.
Well, I think.
Meanwhile, though, Wrinkle in Time does have a 4.2 on IMDb. I just want to let you know that. Child's Play has 5.0.
But see, this is the thing. Now, don't get
I'm
me.
sorry,
now,
Child's
I will
Play
say,
3 has
But see,
5.0.
now the thing about that and what that speaks to, and that's a whole other conversation, because we have a big problem with valuing female-centered stories. Right? You talk about all the movies that are exciting, all the movies that get talked about the most, they're very masculine, and the point of view is masculine.
But I don't think it's because we only like those movies. I think there's just a shortage of other films with females as the I liked not Gone Girl. What's the girl with the girl on the train? That's fantastic. Have you seen what's that show? Big Little Lies? Is that the show on HBO? Jesus Christmas.
It's
That's my favorite show.
It's a superb show.
That's my favorite. It's
I
like
don't know
so.
that these
Yeah,
are
but
fair
that's-
comparisons though, because
Exactly.
again, white women. Right.
And also, too, people wouldn't really show up to the movie theater for Girl on the Train, to be
No,
honest.
they
Really?
It bombed at the box office.
Damn, that's
And I'm saying this as a female filmmaker. This is me, and I get into this with my brothers sometimes even, because, like, they love this, they love that. And it's like, that's super dope. That's fantastic. I wouldn't make any of those movies. And I like them, but that's not something I would go out and make, and that's just the reality of it. Like, that's not my lens,
Right.
that's not my view. It's just not where I'm coming from. But I also have had to accept the fact that I'm gonna make a lot of work that people aren't really gonna vibe with because it's not as exciting. And that's just like a societal thing, I think. And with Wrinkle in Time, you're talking about a movie that's about a 13-year-old girl dealing with self-esteem. A lot of people aren't looking at that as, oh, that's a universal story. But it's like, well, it's a lot of 13-year-old girls, and even me, I'm somewhat past 13. A little teasy bit.
You used to be 13.
But
You
at one
used to be
point I was
13.
13, and even at the age that I am now, which I'm in my 30s, but even in my 30s, I got a lot of value watching this girl go through this process of like valuing herself. And I didn't feel like, and yes, that's a very feminine energy, that whole idea. But again, I have 3 brothers. I look at, and I think that they've had to go through the process of valuing themselves, especially as like young black men in America, and feeling like, where's my place? All these, like, they battle those same things, but I don't think they're thinking of it in that framework of like, oh, I have to value myself. I have to learn to value my place in the world. But that's really what it was about. And that's a very universal experience. So we just don't appreciate the feminine gaze. And that is a completely different conversation.
Yeah, because I mean, I will say I think that Spider-Man is that story too. Like, Peter Parker doesn't value himself.
Right?
He's shy. He's a dork. He has no friends. And then he has this like transformative experience that teaches him to value himself.
There you go.
And not stress about bullies and all that kind of stuff. Which
There
is
you
exactly
go.
what.
Which is literally the same
that's
thing.
literally
with
what Wrinkle in Time is about.
But as we all know, men are more universal than women. Because
well, first of all, there's
humans.
that. Like, women, as women, we are expected to be able to identify with men's stories, and men are not expected to identify with ours. But
maybe
Expected is the key term, I think there. Because I agree that, yes, everything you're saying is us. But one of the reasons I wanted to bring you guys on here is because of the project that you
got
have
it.
created.
You got it.
And how you are creating an awesome story centered around a strong female lead created by women. And like you just brought up the point, like they're not expected, men aren't you typically expected to be as engaged with that type of story. But when I watched your show, by the way, amazing show.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank
When
you.
I watched it, I was like, oh shit, this is interesting. This is awesome. Right off the bat, episode 1, the awkward moment on the couch with Malfoy
Yeah.
is fucking amazing because you held it, and like it's one of those things where it's like the joke and like you hold a joke and it works, and then you lose it, and then you bring people back because you held it like long enough. I don't want to spoil it. It's just go watch it. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. But it's amazing, and I love that creativity. But that's something that like I didn't think like I wouldn't have thought of in my own creative sense. You know, I do comedy and I've done films and all plays, but I was like, that's a really good way to work that writing device.
Yeah.
And play off your actors and let them succeed, and just like let that sit as an audience member, because you want to be like, I want the audience to be just as uncomfortable as these 2 motherfuckers on the couch.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but anyways,
But the funny thing is to talk about the show, even within that, you know, when J.K. Rowling when she's writing these books, and number one, she used an acronym because female authors,
Pseudonym, yeah.
or I said an acronym. Sorry, I'm tired. She used a pseudonym, you know, because again, like people at the time, female authors weren't really the top voices in that genre, and then of course had to write with a male lead character. You know what I'm saying? Even though
hold on
you
a
read
second.
through the books.
So
Are you saying her name is J.K. Rowling
No,
to help
it's
get
Joe.
better?
Yeah,
It's
because her name's
Joanne.
Joanne. Yeah, she
So-
goes by Joe.
so-
And her agents told her, you should submit these under a pseudonym, just your initials, so that they will think it's a man.
That makes sense.
To help her get published.
That
easier.
actually happened.
I think the name just sounds cooler. I mean, it's J.K. Rowling.
I mean, I agree with you. I think it worked out really well.
You think
But
it's a
that's
man's name because you're a chauvinist.
Well, that's what we're saying. It's the only solution. You know,
That's
only
why you like
conclusion.
it.
That's why you like it.
Well, before
It sounds better.
before we go down the sexist rabbit hole here, I wanted to, our audience doesn't know details about what your show is. So
Right.
it is Hermione Granger in the Quarter Life Crisis.
Yes, Hermione Granger in the Quarter Life Crisis.
Tell everybody what it is and what it's about.
It is a web series. It is literally about Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter stories, reaching her mid-20s and going on a quest to find herself.
And starring a 20-something African-American
woman as-
in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So
As
it takes
Hermione.
place, and it's dope. It's a really dope concept. And
Yeah.
it's very different, very great play on things. That's one of the reasons I love it. It's original as fuck too.
It's like the
Which
Wiz
is
of,
hard-
of Harry Potter.
It's like
Yes.
the Wiz.
The Wiz
It's like
of-
the
yeah.
Wizard of Oz and then the Wiz.
Including
yeah, exactly.
the like difference in tone, and like completely independent.
So the funny thing is, I had the idea at the same time that Cursed Child happened. And so, because, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a play, a West End show that's now going to be on Broadway called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Really?
And that also has a Black Hermione, but that's like, that's technically like a part of canon because J.K. Rowling has sort of put her name on the project.
yeah,
But that was actually right around the same time.
and that was more of like a blind casting kind of decision.
Yeah. I
Right?
see.
They were like, yeah, she could be black because we didn't say she couldn't
Yeah,
be.
exactly.
Right.
But they didn't like write her black. They didn't change the stories. Nobody like
This is casting.
Joe Rowling doesn't come out and give an interview about how she was just passionate that Hermione should be black. They just cast a
She
black
just happens
woman.
to be, they just, because she was like the most talented.
The cursed child.
Yeah, to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this, like, but it's,
Not the half-blood
Well,
child.
if you're into religion and the people of Ham have been cursed, and according to the Bible, the people of Ham are actually the African American people, and we've been cursed since the beginning of time. So was that some kind of double entendre meaning about a cursed child?
were
that
they
chose
really
the
trying to like
African-American?
say something?
Ooh, it's so racial.
Harry Potter.
I mean, Hermione is
Every
Harry
time.
Potter and the people of Ham.
Oh my. Spin-off of Hermione Granger in the Quarter Life Crisis.
People of Ham.
Coming soon.
Well, how is it? What are the challenges you guys have encountered by doing a spin-off of an already like established project?
I'm gonna really kind of because I created the show and I direct the show, like I said, and I'm gonna really, I think, speak more on the creative side of things when I talk about the challenges, because interestingly enough, the big challenge hasn't been making the show, because there's enough Harry Potter fans that most of the crew have been people, because I don't have money, I'm not like dishing out money to pay, but it's been one of those things that everybody's interested enough like in that world and being like, oh, that sounds really cool. So I've been able to attract people to the project. So like getting it made.
Because they come out and volunteer. Like, people are coming out not getting paid.
Yeah.
Just passion project.
Just
That's
a
what it
passion
is for
project.
us.
Yeah.
So how do you schedule a shoot like that? Is that kind of like when everybody's got free time on Saturday kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to shoot your first season?
So the first season has 5 episodes. And we filmed the first episode in November, the second episode in December, and then we filmed episodes 3 through 5 over a 5-day period in March.
Wow.
When I tell you that I was having to move, and Alice can correct me because she's our first AD. I don't think I dropped a lot.
No. We dropped like, I think, one scene and, some specialty shots. that-
Yeah, but I don't think
you
I
didn't have
dropped a
time for.
whole lot on that. And that 5-day shoot, I was worried about that because we were shooting 3 episodes, and the episodes tend to be like 10 pages long. So that's 30 to 33 pages over a 5-day period with like multiple locations
Oh,
and
yeah.
lots of cast.
Yeah, lots of moves, lots of
Lots
cast.
of moves. So that was
Not really enough crew.
So that was its own challenge, just trying to get it all in and not sacrificing the artistic integrity of the show, because that's a big thing for me, is that yes, it's on the internet, and so to a certain extent, you can say that the quality doesn't have to be as good. But my thing is, I'm a director, so I'm not a writer. So the quality of my work matters, like the visual quality matters for my work because I'm directing.
I was going to compliment you on your frame ups and your transition, your shots. It looks like it should be a network show.
Thank you.
Like it's very well established. So it's very impressive.
I am grinning from here to Wakanda. Fantastic. The interesting thing is, for me, it's funny because I think that what attracts people to the show is also what doesn't attract as many people, and that's because it's in this Harry Potter world, which is a very action adventure heavy series, right? But it's completely not that. It's a coming of age drama. And so I think, but for me, the funny thing, like the Harry Potter stuff, again, I say this all the time, but like I'm Black, I'm from the South Side of Chicago. A poor education system, going up against the government, like those things are not interesting to me because I grew up with that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, a government that's oppressive? What? Like that doesn't. I know that world. That wasn't like new for me. But like a kid coming from a poor place being special, that was like, oh wow, okay. Or like the idea that like you could come out of it. That's the part that really that I was attracted to the most in Harry Potter. It wasn't like the government or the bad guy, because I feel like I grew up in a world of like bad guys, you know, and you deal with it. So that stuff did it, but I feel like, but that's what people love about the work, is that, you know, and even like having Hermione be able to like fight with her intellect. That was something that I felt like I fought to just be here. Like I fought with my mind. I fought, you know what I'm saying, to get out of.
Well, like Hermione, right, is born to like Muggle parents. Her parents are dentists, so yeah, it's not like she's broke and poor.
Not even a little
trying
bit.
to like, you know.
And she's an only child, by the way. So.
Right, so she has privilege, like financial privilege, but then she comes to this magical world where she has none. She is like the dregs of society because she's a mudblood, and she's
the metaphor for like a person of color in the movie. You know, in the story, she's the metaphor. And even the idea that, to me, that goes back to like this whole idea of like the talented 10th and like the model minority, is that, oh, okay, you can be accepted into these spaces, but you gotta be like the best. Yeah. And so I was like, what if you can be accepted and not be the best? What if that same Hermione, you know, like, what if she could be broken? And again, it's this whole idea of like the strong Black woman, the model minority. Like, we're not special because we're exceptional. We're special because we're human. You know, and so I was really, and I love coming of age stories, and I was just really drawn to the idea that you could have this person who's supposed to be special, because you never see Black women come of age. We never go through a period of like, who am I? What do I want from my life? It's just kind of like, you know, you're a little girl, and then you probably fast, because we get called that a lot, and then you grow up, and then you just are grown. Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, what's the in between part? Like, you know, and it's the same for young men as well. Don't get me wrong. And so it was that, and it was also, so it's her, you know, and it's her cousin who is named Laquita, and that was also on purpose. I was like, the Harry Potter fans will love somebody named Laquita. You know, like, we're gonna put somebody in the show named Laquita, because again, I feel very proud of like, quote, like these African American names, and I feel like you saw a generation who watched Roots, and they were like, you know what, we don't want slave names anymore. Yeah. We just gonna make this shit up ourselves. Yeah. And you hear like the same sound, like we hear a lot of L's, a lot of Q's, a lot of T's, a lot of S's. Like there's sounds that we're drawn to, and I feel like that's a very cultural thing that we don't even know the root of it. But you hear a lot of like shuz, tuz, quas, luz, like those sounds are a lot. And I know a lot of Laquitas. So I was like, yeah, like she should be there. And she's also growing up, and she's also coming of age, and she's also just a person. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, I think my favorite thing about your show is your ability to take the fictional world of Harry Potter and really plant it into everyday life.
Yeah.
Like when you're watching it, I feel like, yo, I could be friends with her here in LA.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like doing shit that I would do, going to the same spots and stuff, just living normal
Just
life.
living a normal life.
And even the dialogue reflects that a lot. Like when I was listening, there's a one-line joke from the guy, the Quidditch athlete player, who was, I forget his name.
Taejun.
Yes, Taejun. And he made that joke about him and the girl were talking, and she was like, "I'll never date you," and he's like, "I'm a professional athlete." Like, that's fucking hilarious because he's talking about Quidditch.
Right.
but
like,
it's so real. They're like, yeah.
It's
So
very real.
That's what I'm saying. So your ability to merge those two worlds is like my favorite thing about the show.
That's
honestly.
awesome.
And I love that.
Yeah,
But-
that's super dope.
It's like an extension of that show Bright that Will Smith and them did with
Oh,
Bright, how they
yeah.
kind of brought the Harry Potter world into the real LA world and whatnot, and they kind of modernized. It's
Right.
almost like another place in the same city.
Right.
Going on where they just found this girl
Yeah.
around in that same kind of real but not real
But not real.
realm. So I think I like it. I like it. It's really good. I
Thank
like
you.
It.
Yeah. That's kind of like what we're doing, you know.
Yeah. It reminds me of the old shows like Charmed and Sabrina the Teenage
Which
Witch.
I loved
then,
all of
you know
those
what I mean?
shows.
And then it got a little Clueless going on in
Well,
there.
you know,
Then
I
it's got
love-
that Sherlock Homie kind of feel because she kind of wild. Her hair wild as shit up in the video too. She got a little Sherlock Homie, so she got a little thug
Sherlock
to her.
Homie.
Sherlock
You know what I mean?
Homie.
Yeah.
This is Sherlock Homie and Black Jesus. I can't do it with my hoarse voice. It sounds so weird.
Black Jesus.
There it is. There it is. Black Jesus is a character in one of our movies that Carl knocks out of the park here.
Yeah.
He comes in
Sells it.
dressed as Black Jesus and murks people
He
with
owns
guns.
that role.
This is pretty hilarious.
He sells
Anyways,
the part.
Okay.
check out
I
Scramble.
mean, I
Gun.
love that.
But anyways, back to you guys. I wanted to talk a little bit. So, covered your season 1. Now you're
Yeah.
gearing up for season 2.
Now we're getting ready to do season 2.
So, and one of the ways that you're doing that is through crowdfunding.
We are. Yeah.
So I want to hear what that experience is like because I have not done a project from crowdfunding yet, but I've been tempted to very much in the past. And for various reasons, mainly because I just didn't want to put all that time and energy
It's
into
a lot
doing
of
it.
time and
Oh yeah, I don't blame you on that one. Good heavens.
So, like, share what that experience is like to the listeners who have no idea, or maybe like advice and like insight to be like, hey, if you're doing it yourself, maybe think about this or do that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I mean, the first thing I would say is make sure you have to. Because
Yeah.
it is an insane commitment.
It's a big
It's
commitment.
like they like to say things are, oh, it's a full-time job. No, it's a full-time job. Like literally, if our whole team isn't spending half the day on social media actively trying to push the campaign, we don't get any donations that day.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a very direct correlation between effort put in by the team for hours, like sustained for hours of the day, to the
Sustained.
donations that we see turn up that day.
and across. And I will say though, the interesting thing is we have seen, I think, the most from Facebook. Like engaging on Facebook gets you the most responses or the most contributions. But it is very much that I wake up, I check the campaign, I plug the campaign on Facebook, I'm thanking people, I'm posting the link, I'm responding to messages on Facebook. Like it's very much become my day. And it's so funny because we did talk to this company. And the woman was like, you have to be Michelle Obama. Like, you have to be actually on the campaign trail. And you're like, oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Totes. But
Of course I will be. Of course I will.
hello, duh, I need the money. I'm so excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm there.
so down for that.
And then you're like, oh.
No, it's like a 6 to
you
8
meant-
hours a day.
I would
Yeah.
even
6 to
say
8 hours.
more than that. I am shocked, especially because you have to be like constantly responding. So, and people make contributions during this moment, during that moment, and you have to be on top of it. And you have to be like, oh my goodness, it's a lot of work.
It's
a lot of work.
It is, which is why I say, like, make sure you need it. Because our season 1, we did 5 episodes. It would not have made sense to do what we're doing right now.
No.
For that, right? It wouldn't have been worth the work, honestly. Like, you just think of your time as money, it's not worth it. But because going into season 2, we're going to be doing almost 3 times as many episodes, we want to pay all those people who volunteered all through season 1. We would like to actually pay them for their labor. We want to pay our intensely amazing cast who come out in insane times, squeezing things into a weekend when they're already working 3 jobs.
and also acting and all these other things.
Right.
And we ask a lot of our cast.
We do. We really do. And
that's
there's a lot of ambition.
A lot of it is me not realizing that I'm not creating for Warner Brothers yet. A lot of it is me, like, my expectations for the work and for the people involved in the work tend to be really, really, really high, and for myself as well.
Yeah.
And that comes with the cost, because it's never like, oh, Parvati's in this one scene, and it's like, nope, Parvati's doing this and she's doing that, and I'm trying to tell like full stories for 4 different lead characters in a 10-minute episode. And so you're asking them, it's a lot on them emotionally. It's a lot of like, you're not just showing, because I've actually had 2 of the cast recently tell me that they thought when they auditioned, they thought it was for a sketch. just like a one-time sketch. And meanwhile, they were cast in the fall of 2016.
Yeah, and here we are.
Now we are spring of 2018, and
Year
like
and a
we're
half
still
later.
working on it. And they're still with these characters, and they're still and poor the girl who plays Hermione. Her name is Ashley. I mean, poor Ashley. I'm having her like in the alley fighting with a homeless man, and like, you know what I mean? But honestly,
She was like, I auditioned to play a witch. Yeah, like Hermione Granger.
like a cool person. And meanwhile, this girl is like on an emotional roller coaster.
Crying in a bookshop, like,
so much. And I'm asking that of her. So of course you want to be able to, like she said, we're really this time trying to focus on actually like getting the crew paid, and we've been able to get some really, really, really like great people working on the show. I have a new DP who's like,
oh, he's fantastic.
oh my God, he's my end all be
We
all.
shot a short film with him, and he just completely blew it out of the park.
He's
He's a
amazing.
very talented DP and also just an amazing communicator. I think, Eliyannah, you just feel really comfortable with him.
I do.
Making sure you're on the same page and him executing your vision really well. And he has just the greatest attitude.
Yeah.
Which is so important in a DP. Like,
The not so nice version of what Alice is saying is that I mostly get DPs who treat me like an asshole.
well, some of which is that the vast majority of DPs are men, and not all of them are great at working with a female director.
We talked about this on the last show with our last female interviews and whatnot, that I said several times in my 5 to 10 years we've been doing this film thing, I've seen that we're DPs and the guys that kind of overrun the lady's idea and whatnot, like almost like it's his idea and it's like it's his thing. And she's like, hey, I kind of like.
Well, yeah, not on our show. I mean, they try, but
I was gonna say, and what ends
Not
up
on our
happening
show.
a lot
Not today.
on this show.
It's like
is
that's when the producer steps in.
well, we and our entire producing team is women. All of our producers and all of our writers, we are all women. So a man comes into the set and tries to take over, and we're all like, no,
it's just not gonna
sit
happen.
down, son.
Yeah.
This is our show.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It just is what it is.
Nice.
You
That's
know.
right. That's right. Roll deep on the ass.
You have to. You have
There's
to.
power in numbers.
You have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's so funny because I think, and I have a very like friendly personality. I'm a friendly person. I like people, and so people do often like the typical like
advantage of
they try to.
Yeah.
A lot of people do mistake my kindness for weakness, and then even like those same DPs, they quickly find out. I'll be really nice about like, this is what I want to do, because I want to collaborate, you know what I'm saying?
of course.
But at the same time, like, this is my show, so if that's a shot that I said we're gonna do, that's the shot that we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But what I don't like about that is like now you have this energy of like this combative energy on set,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like that's not helpful to creation.
Well,
We do wanna
that's guys.
create.
It's that 300 stuff. Kick them in the Wells Sparta shit.
But you know
guys
what I'm
like that
saying?
shit.
So
That's
it's
why they
like,
go see the
Sure,
movie.
sure, but
Just kick him in the pit.
you want like creative energy on set, not
don't forget
combative.
that
Yeah, absolutely.
the director of photography is a creator, right? Like, that is a creative position. You want someone who comes in enthusiastically wanting to create a beautiful project with you and wants to work with you constructively.
Yeah.
And the moment you have to like
flex on them.
Right. When you have to slap them down to get them to respect your authority in a matter, then suddenly there's tension there, and they don't want to contribute and like build with you the same way they wanted to before when they thought they were kind of in charge.
It's the same in sports with like really tough coaches who some coaches, if they yell at a player, the player will shut down. Some coaches got to be like, oh no, you're going to be all right. Don't work on it, homie. Like, and if you react to them wrong, then the kids won't play for you. They won't perform. And he may have been a number 1 draft pick, super guy.
Yeah,
but
right.
he just doesn't handle you yelling at him too
Yeah,
well.
we've
So
definitely
he shuts
seen
down
that.
on you.
And he
Like-
shuts down.
Right, your star quarterback he's a member of the team. He's not just a tool that you move around on the board
like
or
he's
whatever.
LeBron James or something. You just a man up in here, huh?
Listen, I've had several LeBron James type DPs try to get on the set. You know what I'm saying? saying? And it's like, no, I'm LeBron too.
Right?
I'm LeBron too.
Like I was also the number one draft pick.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so now it's like LeBron versus LeBron instead of us just being like, okay, we Mike and Scotty, like we just,
Let's work together.
you know what I'm saying? And so, but that's not. I don't want to create like that though. Honest to God, like I will flex, but I don't want to flex. I want to create. I want to do great work. And so, but now, we've got this amazing DP, and the thing is, and it's so funny because the raise that we're doing, it's $46K, but then we broke that. That's not. We're doing 14 episodes. We have a 20-day shoot. So when you break down, that's actually not a lot of money.
$46K for 20 days.
For 20 shoot days. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not much.
Well, people out there listening probably don't understand the details about financing, but being a producer and line producing all these projects, I definitely have an understanding. And if you can pull that off with that in that amount of time, it shows your ability to be very efficient and very skilled at time management and resources.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And that reflects in the quality of your work.
Thank you.
Like, it shows. And it's a good thing.
At
least to people in the industry. I don't know if all these fuckheads out here in international waters even know.
I don't think they understand.
They're just like, oh, this is a cool concept for a show. I just like a show. Well, before we bring this around and close this out, I want to hear from each of you. What were your favorite moments or memories or experience so far before working on the show and working with each other's team members and whoever?
Well, you said before working on the show?
No, like before moving forward. So like in the past, since the show starting, what's your favorite memory or moment? Like, you got a good story? Anything good on set happen? Any cool things? You got any?
Just generally on any set or on our set?
No, on your set for the show.
On our set. Well, I got mishap stories. They're
I was
they're
looking
funny.
at Alice.
Well, I mean, okay, favorite or most memorable. So you can do a bad experience when something went crazy or whatever. I'm just looking,
I got
something stuck out in your head.
I got one. I feel like Eliyannah, you know what I'm about to talk about, but we were recently contacted by PBS, and they're going to feature us in this show that they're doing about the joy of reading, like the power of reading, and how that can shape your life and that kind of thing. And so we had to do a single day shoot of the stuff that's for season 2. So we had to separately pull together enough money for a single day of that. We shot this overnight at a friend's place. She's letting us use their backyard, which is amazing, saving on location fees, hot tip.
Thank you.
And so our locations person, quote unquote, was my friend who owns this house, right? And we're shooting outside overnight. We have not enough money. We have not enough time. And we have to get this done so that we haven't wasted all this money and so that we have enough behind the scenes footage to submit to PBS.
And overnight is in we had a 6 p.m. call time, so we were going to wrap at 6 a.m. That
so
kind of
we shot
overnight.
12 hours of nighttime. So when we say we ask a lot of our cast and crew, we mean it. It's also freezing cold. It was
December
overnight,
in Pasadena.
2 a.m. in Pasadena in December. Right, or January. So it was very cold. And we're all out there. We're making it happen. We're already stressed about the tight schedule and all the things we have to get done that night. And then the sprinklers went off.
In the middle of...
literally in the middle of a shot. Sprinklers are going off. We're filming this dinner party, this very elaborate setup on a table.
On the table.
Oh yeah. And the sprinklers in the backyard just go off.
And it wasn't just a sprinkler.
No,
it
was
the
all of
backyard
them.
exploded.
Surrounded. And we've got a camera out there. We've got lighting equipment. We've got cables all over the ground. There are candles on the table. There's all of it, right? So the light, the water starts going off, and immediately the entire crew rushes to grab the electronics. Immediately. Everybody is where's the camera? Get the camera the hell out of there. Get the lights out of there. And then I, had to go run off and find, the girl who owns the house to go shut off the water. Meanwhile, all of the actors are scrambling to not get their costumes soaked because we're still in the middle of a shoot. There's all the rest of the crew is scrambling to just try and cover the chairs, the table, the set dressing. Because aside from the things that are dangerous when they get wet, we also still have to shoot these things. And at no point in the dinner party was everything supposed to get wet. So you put the camera back up and you start rolling. And you're like, why is everybody suddenly soaking wet? Why is all the food soggy? It's so weird how this just randomly happened. I don't understand. It's you cut to this person and their food is crumbs, soggy crumbs in a puddle of water, and then you cut over here, and their food's just fine.
It was
like,
a
what's happening?
mess.
Yeah. So we had a really long delay because of that, actually. Like, 'cause I mean, at that point, you have to safety check everything. You got to like check all the cables. You have to make sure everything is completely dry. Redress the entire set. It was like an hour and 20-minute delay.
And then that's
When
when
we already had
when
no
you talk
time.
about momentum, though, right? Because like, I don't play sports, but I watch basketball a lot. And you know, when you go on a run, it's easy to stay on that run, right? Because now you got the momentum on your side. And so we're doing an overnight shoot. What you about to say?
Oh no, I'm just getting ready.
Okay. So we're doing like it's an overnight shoot, and everybody, and we had gotten people like, yeah, we shooting, we got this, we got that, and then you lose an hour to sprinklers, and now you feel like it's 3 a.m. and you feel like you've been there all night, and, it's
And
like,
you feel like you're cold and you're
you
wet from
feel
the
like
sprinklers.
you're cold, and then you're like, and so of course, you know, Alice is our first AD, and the first AD is the person that runs the set, and you know, and I'm directing, and so now I gotta get. Me and Alice have to kind of like try to like galvanize everybody and get the crew back and get the cast back in the right emotional state, and you know, because we ask a lot of them, even though it was December and they were outside, they weren't dressed like it was December. They weren't dressed like it was winter, you know, so they got the most wet because they were in the middle of the scene. They didn't have like their coats on like the rest of us did. So now I got to be like, okay, we'll get you some hot chocolate. Let's get back in the scene. Like, I think, you know, wipe the shoulders off. Okay, we're back at it. You know what I mean? Like,
I think we went through like
That's that Chicago
200
Oprah
little
training.
sets of those little hot hands. You know, those little hot hands, you shake them and you put them in your pockets. We must have gone through 200 of those things that night.
you know,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
thankfully, because I don't want to say where we got them from, but one of our people was working on a different show at the time and was able to just get them from her job.
They able to borrow them.
They fell off the back of the truck.
Fell on the back of the truck because we do work in production,
He
you know.
was like, oh shit, where? Give me like 200 of them.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Is that 500 in the inventory? I think that's a 3. Right?
300 hot hands?
wrote it wrong.
Got it.
So
It's like it's whatever we want it.
that was
That's
a
fine.
good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. We had another one, and this was like not good.
Oh,
But
no.
I know this one wasn't good. But when we did the 3 days back in March, it was basically the last shot of the night that we had pushed back the one girl's coverage in one of the scenes.
Oh, I just remembered what you're talking about. Oh.
But I'm only saying this because people that listen also may want to work in production, and you have to manage these things.
Yes.
And
Oh, yeah,
so
it's important.
So we had a situation where we had held this one girl. We held her coverage on the couch. It was a whole thing, and then you know she comes on set, and I was like, I'm looking at the monitor, like it looks like she's about to cry, and I was like, what's going on? Because that's not what the scene is.
Right. Yeah.
She's irritated, but not like on the verge of tears.
Right.
And so I went to her and I was like, hey, you know, let's talk about the scene. You know, I'm trying to get to like, okay, you know, where are you? And then basically she told me she had been burned. One of our hairstylists had basically burned her shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Like with a
a hot curling iron.
curling iron.
Didn't
burned
tell-
her neck. Yeah, like pretty
Didn't
severely.
tell any of us.
No one said a word to anyone outside of the hair
Sent
room.
her to set, and now her hair is like irritating the burn.
Right, her hair's like sitting on
She's
the burn.
also sitting under lights.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Suffering.
Bubbling on
Just
her.
suffering.
And so she was in intense pain sitting there.
And I think she thought that we knew.
She thought she 100% did. She thought that we all knew and
then
didn't
we
care.
and just had her
And
on.
just wanted her to just do it anyway.
Like
And
slave
she was
driver.
just like the crying Native American, just with the.
you know what? You know what?
Well, because as she should have, she assumed that the hairstylist said something to us.
Because she should
She
have.
has the obligation to do that. I mean, honestly, like you're a professional working on a job and you burn someone. Accidents happen, but you can't just act like it didn't happen and
The
just hope
hairstylist
it goes
was
away. Like
The hairstylist was like, "Don't tell anybody," and then she leaves, and then you're like, "Whew, "That was a close one."
Yeah,
right?
But I feel like that's essentially what happened. That this hairstylist thought she got it.
Right.
And I mean, literally, this girl is like sitting here trying to do the performance on the verge of tears, and I was just like, what is this? And I just thought that she was just overdoing it, because I'm like, wow, this is a lot for this moment.
Right. Which would have been out of character for her. Like, she always delivers a very on-note performance.
Right, and so it was just really weird. And so that was one of those things that, of course, we had to shut everything down. We have to apologize to her profusely because we just didn't know. And we have to make sure she knows that we're not just saying we didn't know because we genuinely had no idea.
They didn't get no Band-Aid for her or nothing?
Nothing. Literally nothing. They just set her hair right on top of her open wing.
And just sent her to set.
Yeah, it was a very upsetting.
It was a mess. We were, and I was furious.
And then, of course, Eliyannah has to stay in a creative headspace, and so the rest of the producing team now has a difficult job, right? Because it has to be addressed, both to the actress, which luckily, like, Eliyannah has a great relationship with our cast. So we obviously have to talk about it with her, but also on the flip side of that, we have this hard situation where we have to address this with the hairstylist.
Yeah.
Who, again, is underpaid, there to help us out, right? Whatever, but doing somebody a favor and helping them out doesn't excuse you from
sending a burn victim to set.
Right.
You just can't do that.
To set, like, all right, there you go.
Yeah, it just like, drop it
so,
off. And so
unfortunately, we had to handle that, which is a challenge, of course, and not something to be taken lightly when you set out on a large project of this scale. You work with a lot of people, and it's not always going to be puppies and rainbows.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative medium, and my philosophy from my musical theater background is the show must go on.
The show must go on. And I think that's what the actress was also kind of in that mindset.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, even as crew and producers, like with the hairstylist thing, like, at the end of the day, like, we're working together for a bigger goal.
Right.
So, like, if one part of the machine isn't working, it's going to detriment, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. So.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But very importantly, and this is the AD in me coming out, is just give us all the information, because just because something went wrong doesn't mean everything's now a disaster, right? You give us the information and we just make the right call. Like what we do when she's burned and she can't come to set until she gets treated and calms down and we address all of that, you just shift and you shoot a different shot.
Yeah, that's it.
But
especially
if you
because
don't
there was
tell
literally
us,
a Walgreens like 2 doors down.
Right.
Once we knew the burn happened, it was easy to send someone to get a
like
few things.
specialized burn.
But
It's never the problem. It's always the cover up.
it's always the cover up.
Always the cover-up,
It's
exactly.
always the cover
Exactly.
up. That's
Makes a much bigger problem.
It's always the cover up. So that was another one that really stood out to me because I had never experienced that, and it was again another instance of, because at the same time I did still have to shoot her that night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe I'm just as bad as the hairstylist. I don't know. We did treat her, but it was very much like, okay, you good?
Show must go on.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Well, she rallied though, like, and I think if she hadn't felt capable of doing it, if she
Boot
wasn't
rally.
up to it,
yeah, I
You
would have
know.
just dropped the shot. I don't know
Right.
what I would have
We'd
done.
have dropped
the
We didn't have the location again.
no.
Look, I always give the example when it comes like that. Show must go on. You get hurt or injured on set. Like, I want to make sure everyone's safe, but at the same time, you gotta remember Django and Leo fucking smash his own hand and use the blood to smear on her face. Like, damn, son, what a method.
did.
Oh yeah.
Like,
He did.
Jesus.
He did. I mean, it's
No, I'm not saying
it's
she
a lot
should be
easier.
like.
Well, I just think it's a lot easier to forgive when there's like millions of dollars that you're being paid, and
Right.
you know what I mean. It's
Yeah, very true.
but
Very true.
thankfully,
It's a little bit different budget you guys were working with.
Also, he cut his own hand with an action that he did. He wasn't just
Very
sitting
true.
in the chair and somebody like took out a glass and cut him and then went, okay, you're good, right?
Use it. Tarantino's like, just use it, bro.
Right. He
Oh,
had
my bad.
agency. He made his own choice.
Yeah.
And I feel like that really changes it. It really does.
No,
change
those are
that.
both very valid.
And so that
points.
was so that was a situation that was memorable and will always stand out to me. And of course, now I'm like looking at necks and just making sure that everybody's comfortable because you just. But I also think that opened up another level of communication between she and I because and I know the producers did too. But I very much had to be like, listen, if anything ever happens, like, yes, they should tell us, but like, let me know if you're not good. And I'm not saying that. And I feel like you say that all the time, but things change when you're in the situation. You know what I'm saying? You start to shoot off, hey, communicate, talk to me. This is that and the third. But like, if nothing's bad happening, you're not testing that. Yeah. And so when it was time for the test, she didn't tell me. And so now I get a chance to say, no, hey, listen, I really truly mean if you're not good, let me know. Right. Whatever it is, let me know.
Right.
Word. Well, I want to, because I want to close this out real
Yes,
quick.
let's close it out.
Before I do, I want to say, first of all, thank you, girls, so much for coming on.
Yes, ladies. Thank you.
Really, really love having a conversation with you guys.
No, but thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you very
It's
much,
cool.
honestly.
If you want it, you have an open invitation to come back. If
This
you
was
want to come
fun.
back on,
I might come back.
talk about season 2, plug some shit. But before we get out of here, everyone out there listening, go to their crowdfunding page right
Yes.
now. Tell everyone where they should go. Tell
You
everyone
can
what's up.
find all the information about the show and the crowdfund campaign at HermioneSeries.com. So that's www.HermioneSeries.com.
Chia.
HERMIONE series SERIES.com. Everything's there, including episodes. Pew, 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 pew.
That was amazing. Might have to just start using that on every episode.
Oh my God.
Started it.
That's incredibly dope. As is season 2 going to be Hermione Granger and the Court of Life Crisis.
Super excited
This
about
second
that.
season's going to be fantastic.
You guys offer some different tiers for
Yeah.
your crowdfunding you're raising and your campaigns. I saw those, so that's very cool.
We
So
have
I mean,
a lot of fun stuff that we're doing.
a lot of incentives, some
Lots of
swag
incentives,
you're giving
yeah.
out, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yep.
So the cool thing is we were able to do a lot of stuff that also fits into the show, because like one of the things you'll see is that Hermione and her cousin, when they before she went to Hogwarts, they had like a singing group, which
They were the Cheetah Girls before the Cheetah Girls were cool.
I feel like most young girls at
Which
some
is
point
awesome.
you have gone through your singing group phase.
I was in a boy band.
It happens.
See, there you go.
We've also had our Destiny's Child wannabe year.
Yeah, middle school, yo.
Filming, music videos in your living room.
All that stuff. And so they had a group, and they were called the Granger Girls. And one of the incentives is a single from the Granger Girls. Like, we've been able to kind of do some just fun stuff within the world of our show.
See, that's cool.
Some
You're creating your own universe.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is super dope.
Well, tell everyone if you want. Tell everyone first of all, where they can find if you want social media, your individual stuff, the stuff for the show, anything you want to plug and promote. And we'll wrap it up. But thank you so much for coming. We love you. We are going to help you guys out. We're going to blast this on all of our social media.
Thank you.
We'll obviously put the word out. Dash is obviously behind us too. So
Thank
hopefully
you, Dash.
we'll send Skitbags. Dash send you some money.
Thank you. Alice, do you want to plug your stuff? Alice is a great producer, by the way, you guys.
Thank you.
And it's got a lot of credits. So working live.
No, Miss Pearce over here
Very
is not playing.
well versed.
Yeah, I do. I do work a lot. It's kind of the only thing I do. Which, actually, if you want to be a producer, if that's what you're thinking, or honestly, if you want to do anything in film, get ready to make work your life for a while. Just deal with it. That's the only thing for it. But I do work a lot, and I write, and I have a short film that's sort of still making the festival circuits right now.
Great film.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
We recently showed it the Chinese, which is a
That's
big
dope.
deal. Yeah. Mhm.
Super
Very
dope.
cool. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. But you can find me on social media at Hey Alice K. Everywhere, the same thing, at Hey Alice K.
And also, you can find me. I'll spell my name because my name is Eliyannah. But I'm at Eliyannah Direct on everything. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I do have a Tumblr, but it's funky.
Oh no, definitely come find me on Tumblr. I live there.
Hey, Tumblr. So you can find me at Eliyannah Direct. That's ELIYANNAH Direct. Obviously DIRECT. And then also too, because I do have some work and I've been doing some stuff, and I'm starting my own production company called Sunshine Moxie, and that's who produces Hermione. And Sunshine Moxie really just exists to put, my vision is to be as big as Warner Brothers one day. And you know how the same way that for over a century, Warner Brothers has been the studio to highlight white males as their leads.
No kidding.
And my studio exists to highlight black women as the leads. Hey. But yeah, I felt like there could be a studio that could be as big as all the major studios that highlights black women and women of color and being the leads of shows and the leads of movies, and and just unapologetically that's what we do, because no one's, you know what I'm saying?
There's definitely space for it, and there's space for it in the industry, space for it in the market.
Yeah.
So like, I
So
definitely
that's what we
think,
do.
Yeah.
Even and Hermione, like, just to that point, yes, it's 2 black women, but there's also one of the characters is Indian, and the other character is a Latina. So it's this idea of that, you know, it's up to us. We're going to be the ones to do it, and that we should be able to stand strong behind it. And that's what Sunshine Moxie does. But you can also find at Sunshine Moxie and then at Eliyannah Direct. That's what I do. It's who I am.
And for those of you listening to this, you can find all of their info on our Twitter page, because I'm going to repost all this, or on Skitbags' Facebook page. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all these links will be in the description. But we'll close out. Thank you, Gabby, for DJing. We love you over there.
Yes, thank you, Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby.
Neil.
Killing it.
You know what it is. You can find me on Instagram at the Life of Neil the Great.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, you know.
Choo-choo-choo.
Yeah, it's just Mr. CD Enforcer, Poppy Carlo on Instagram, Mr. C Force on the Twitter, as they call it. Also, check out The Clapper, which is in theaters right now.
Ooh.
Check out Scramble Movie, which is on iTunes. Gotta have it. Check out The Ding Dong Show, which is every Monday at 10:30 at the Comedy Store or on YouTube, The Ding Dong Show. And check out gtscomedyjam.com, because we making jokes every week, motherfucker.
Word. And special thanks to Shandara in the house for introducing me to Alice. So the whole reason
That's
we're
my girl.
having.
Thank you, Shandara.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So go ahead, shout out to Dash, everybody. We love you. Thank you, Dash. As
Dash.
always, you fucking rule. Also, go to YouTube if you want to watch past episodes or highlights and clips of our show here. If you're listening to this on Dash, go ahead after you're done and pop on over to the YouTube channel, Skitbags Radio. You'll be able to see what it's like in the studio, in here with us, and hang out and see all of our beautiful faces.
That's right.
Also, Skitbags Radio on Twitter. And if you want to email the show, send us some love, send us some hate, send us some nudes, you know, whatever. It's skitbagsradio@gmail.com. And I'm Sailor Dev, Instagram Sailor_Dev. But I think that's it. You guys, anything else?
Bow, bow.
No! Hey, that's it. We're out.
Skitbags Radio.